Welcome to Zoe Stories. I owed her money. She made me her feminine pet. I never thought my life could be reduced to a number. $750. That was all it took to ruin me. For someone else, maybe that wasn't much. But for me, an 18-year-old kid barely scraping through my first year at community college, working part-time at a grocery store while trying to keep my mother's lights on, it was a mountain I couldn't climb. I should have known better than to borrow it from her. Her name was Vanessa Kane. She was 2 years older than me, but she carried herself like she'd lived 10 lives more. Rich, confident, cruel in the way a cat plays with a mouse. She wasn't exactly beautiful in the delicate sense, but striking. Tall, dark-haired, piercing hazel eyes that always seemed to know what you were hiding. And she knew me too well. She knew I was desperate. It happened 3 months ago. Rent was due. Mom's health bills were piling up. I made the mistake of complaining out loud in the campus cafe, and Vanessa overheard. She slid into my booth like a queen lowering herself onto a throne. "I can help," she'd said. And I let her. 3 months later, here I was, standing in her apartment like a prisoner awaiting sentence. The place reeked of perfume and money, soft white carpets, silver lamps, the faintest sound of some French music playing in the background. I shifted awkwardly, clutching the strap of my worn-out backpack like a lifeline. Vanessa reclined on her leather sofa, one leg crossed over the other, dressed in a silky black blouse and skirt that screamed elegance. She held a glass of red wine in one hand, swirling it lazily, like she had all the time in the world. "So," she said, eyes glinting, "you're late. Again." I'll have it soon," I stammered.
My throat was dry.
"Just another week. My paycheck." She laughed. It wasn't kind. It was the kind of laugh that told you she was enjoying the show. "Darling," she said, drawing out the word like velvet. "You've been saying that for weeks. Do you think I'm stupid?" "No, you just don't have it." She leaned forward, setting the wine glass down with a delicate clink. Her perfume, sharp, floral, intoxicating, wrapped around me. "You owe me $750, interest included. And since you're incapable of paying like a man, maybe it's time you start paying like something else." My stomach dropped. What do you mean?" Vanessa smiled. And God, it was terrifying. She stood, heels clicking against the polished floor, and walked toward me. I fought the instinct to step back. When she stood inches away, she reached out and touched the collar of my cheap hoodie, tugging it like she was inspecting merchandise. "You're a pretty boy, you know," she whispered. "Delicate jaw, soft skin, those wide eyes. Wasted on you." But on the right canvas, her gaze traveled slowly, cruelly, like she was stripping me without lifting a finger. "You'd make a very pretty pet." I swallowed hard. I don't understand." "Oh, I think you do." She tilted her head, lips curling. "You need to pay me back. And since you have no money, you'll give me something better. Yourself." The words made my chest tighten.
No.
"No, that's crazy. I can't." She put a finger on my lips, silencing me. "Sure." My breath caught. Her touch was ice and fire at the same time. "You don't get to say no," she said softly, her voice almost affectionate. "You had your chance. Now you're mine." I wanted to run. My brain screamed at me to push past her, storm out, never look back. But my legs felt rooted to the carpet. "Vanessa, please," I managed, my voice breaking. "Just give me time. I'll find a way, I swear." She leaned closer, her lips brushing against my ear. "Time's up, sweet boy." And then she whispered the sentence that would change my life. "Tomorrow, you come here, not as yourself, but as her. My little feminine pet." I jerked back, eyes wide. "What?"
No.
"You can't." Her hand darted out and gripped my chin, holding me in place. Her nails dug lightly into my skin, not enough to break it, but enough to remind me she had claws. "Oh, I can," she murmured. "And I will. Unless, of course, you'd like me to tell everyone on campus about your little gambling debt. Or maybe your mother would like a visit from me." Imagine her face when she learns her son's a liar and a thief. My chest heaved. Shame and fear twisted inside me like knives. She had me cornered, trapped in her web. She knew I couldn't risk Mom finding out. She knew I had no one else to turn to. I was hers. Vanessa smiled when she saw the defeat in my eyes. She released my chin, brushing her fingers across my cheek almost tenderly. "Good boy," she purred. Or should I say, good girl? My stomach flipped. She walked back to the sofa, picked up her wine, and sipped. Like it was all settled. Like my fate was sealed. I stood frozen, trembling, my heart pounding in my ears. Her voice drifted lazily across the room. "Tomorrow, 7 o'clock sharp. Don't be late. And wear something easy to take off." I couldn't breathe. My world tilted. For the first time in my life, I realized my body, my identity, my freedom was no longer mine. And I had no idea just how far she would go. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard her voice again. "Tomorrow, 7 o'clock sharp. And wear something easy to take off." My stomach twisted with dread. What did she mean? What exactly did she plan to do to me? I told myself I wouldn't go. That I'd find some way to get the money. Maybe beg my boss at the store for an advance. Maybe sell my laptop, maybe.
But the truth was a knife in my chest.
I didn't have enough. Not even close. And Vanessa had me cornered. By morning, I was a wreck. Dark circles under my eyes, hands trembling when I tried to eat. Mom noticed, of course. She always noticed. "You all right, honey?" she asked as she sipped her tea. I forced a smile.
"Yeah.
Just tired. Exams coming up."
A lie.
Another one. My chest ached with guilt. If she knew, if she even suspected, she'd be devastated. That alone was enough to push me out the door that evening, heart hammering, legs weak, dragging myself toward Vanessa's apartment like a man walking to his own execution. When I arrived, she was already waiting. The door swung open, and there she stood, dressed in a crimson silk robe, her hair loose, lips painted a deep shade of red that made my throat tighten. "You're late," she said, though it was barely 2 minutes past 7. "I'm sorry," I muttered. Her eyes flicked over me. My faded jeans, hoodie, scuffed sneakers. A smirk tugged at her lips. "How dull," she sighed. "But don't worry. I'll fix that." Before I could react, she grabbed my wrist and pulled me inside. The scent of her perfume enveloped me again, dizzying. The living room had changed since yesterday. On the coffee table lay an array of objects, boxes, bags, and a black makeup kit spread open like a weapon chest. A long garment bag rested on the sofa. My stomach dropped. What is all this?" I asked, my voice cracking. Vanessa's smile was cruel and sweet all at once. "Your new life, darling." She let go of my wrist and gestured toward the table. "Strep." My entire body tensed.
"What? No."
"I can't." Her eyes hardened. "You can. And you will. Or, would you like me to send that little email draft I prepared to your mother? You know, the one explaining why her son is so deep in debt." My throat closed. Panic surged through me. Slowly, with shaking hands, I pulled off my hoodie, then my t-shirt. My jeans felt like lead as I slid them down. By the time I was standing in just my boxers, my skin burned with humiliation. Vanessa studied me like an artist considering her canvas. Then she snapped her fingers. Off. All of it. I froze. "No, please don't make me." Her gaze sharpened like a blade. "Don't make me repeat myself." Shame swallowed me whole. With trembling fingers, I pushed the last barrier down and stood bare before her, my hands trying to cover myself. My face burned hotter than fire. Vanessa's lips curled in satisfaction. "Good boy," she purred. Or should I say, soon-to-be good girl. She picked up a small silk bag from the table and tossed it at me. It landed against my chest. I caught it and, with dread, looked inside.
Lace.
Black lace. It was lingerie.
A bra.
Matching panties. Stockings. My knees nearly buckled.
No.
I can't, Vanessa, please. Her voice sliced through my protests. You will. Or you walk out that door right now, and tomorrow your entire world burns. Her eyes locked on mine, daring me. My hands shook so badly, I almost dropped the bag. But I didn't walk out. I didn't fight. I slipped into the bathroom, closed the door, and stared at the lace in my hands. My reflection in the mirror was pale, trembling, pitiful. This isn't me, I whispered. This isn't who I am. But her voice echoed in my mind. Good girl. I don't know how long I stood there before my fingers finally moved. Sliding the panties up my legs was like stepping into another world. The lace clung to me, fragile yet unforgiving. The bra was worse. I fumbled, clumsy, trying to fasten it behind my back, tears stinging my eyes from the humiliation. When I finally stepped out, Vanessa's eyes lit up with wicked delight. There she is, she said softly, walking around me like a predator circling prey. So delicate. So mine. I wanted to disappear. My arms crossed over my chest, my face burning. Vanessa chuckled and reached into the garment bag. With a flourish, she pulled out a dress. A soft, silky thing in pale pink, short and fitted. She held it up to my trembling frame. Put it on. I shook my head, whispering, Please no. She leaned close, her lips brushing my ear again. Every time you say no, I take something else from you. Remember that. My knees nearly gave out. And so, with shaking hands, I slipped the dress over my body. The fabric hugged me like a mockery, clinging to my chest, my hips, my thighs. It transformed me into something I didn't recognize. Something Vanessa had wanted all along. When I turned back to the mirror, I didn't see myself anymore. I saw her creation. A boy trapped in a girl's shell. Vanessa clapped her hands together in delight. Perfect. But we're not done yet. She reached for the makeup kit. I froze. My chest heaved. Vanessa. Her smile sharpened.
Sit. Down.
I lower myself onto the stool in front of the mirror, my body trembling. The brush touched my skin, soft and invasive. Powder, color, gloss. Her fingers were steady, practiced, painting over my shame. With each stroke, the boy I knew faded further away. And when she finally stepped back, satisfaction gleaming in her eyes, she whispered, Tomorrow, the world will see you. My stomach lurched. What do you mean? Her smile widened. We're going out, darling.
Out there.
Where everyone will see just how pretty my little pet can be. The makeup felt heavy on my face. Every blink, every breath reminded me that I wasn't myself anymore, that Vanessa had painted someone else onto my skin. I sat frozen in front of her mirror, dressed in that pink silk dress, the lace biting softly into my skin beneath. My legs trembled in stockings, my lips shone with gloss, and my reflection stared back like a stranger. This isn't me, I whispered, the words breaking. Vanessa smirked behind me, leaning against the dresser, arms crossed, her perfume thick in the air. Oh, but it is. You just don't know it yet. I shook my head.
No.
I can't do this. I won't. Her smile didn't falter. You think you have a choice? I turned, desperate. Please, Vanessa. I'll find the money. I'll work extra shifts. I'll sell everything I own. Her laugh cut me like a blade. Darling, if you were capable of that, you wouldn't be here now, would you? My chest tightened. Shame burned in my throat. Vanessa moved toward the coffee table again, and when she returned, she held something in her hands. A black leather folder. She dropped it onto my lap with a soft thud. I looked down. Inside was a stack of papers. My heart skipped when I read the first line, typed in neat, bold letters. Personal service agreement. I glanced up, horrified. What is this? Vanessa crouched down in front of me, her eyes level with mine. A contract. To make things official. I'm not signing anything. Oh, but you will. She flipped the first page with a perfectly manicured finger. It says, in short, that until your debt is cleared, you belong to me. Body, image, identity. Everything. You'll do as I say. Dress as I command. Speak as I wish. No questions. No arguments. My blood ran cold. This is insane, I whispered. It can't be legal. Her smirk widened. Legal?
No.
Binding? Absolutely. She leaned closer, her voice soft and poisonous. Because if you don't sign, I'll ruin you. Everyone will know you owe me. Everyone will know how weak, pathetic, desperate you are. Do you want that, darling? Tears stung my eyes. My chest heaved. She pressed a pen into my trembling hand. Sign. I shook my head, voice cracking.
No.
I can't. Her fingers tightened on my wrist, nails digging into my skin. Sign it, pet. Or I'll send your mother the first photo I took tonight. My head snapped up. Photo? What photo? She pulled her phone from her pocket and, with a wicked smile, showed me. There it was. My reflection. In lingerie. In the pink dress. Painted lips parted in shame. I choked. My stomach dropped. Delete it, I begged. Her voice was silk and steel.
Sign. The
contract. My hands shook violently as I lowered the pen to the page. My name spilled across the paper, broken and trembling. When it was done, Vanessa plucked the folder from my lap, her satisfaction radiating like heat. Good girl, she purred. Now you're truly mine. I buried my face in my hands, shame burning through me. Vanessa stood tall again, flipping through the pages like a proud teacher reviewing a student's work. You'll address me as mistress from now on. You'll answer when spoken to. You'll wear what I choose, go where I decide, and keep your pretty mouth shut unless I say otherwise. Her eyes glinted. Disobedience means punishment. Do you understand? I didn't answer. She grabbed my chin again, forcing me to meet her gaze.
Do you
understand? Yes, I whispered, broken. Yes, what? I hesitated, trembling. Yes, mistress. Her smile widened. Perfect. She tapped the folder against her palm and then gestured toward the garment bag again. This was only the beginning, pet. Tomorrow you're going to step out into the world for the first time, not as him, but as her. My heart dropped. No, please, not outside. Oh, yes. She chuckled, savoring my panic. Tomorrow you debut. I shook my head violently. They'll know, they'll see. That's the point, she cut in. Her eyes gleamed with cruelty. The world will see you for what you are. My little doll. My pretty pet. Tears blurred my vision. My chest ached with humiliation and fear. Vanessa leaned close once more, whispering into my ear with venomous sweetness. Get some rest, darling. Tomorrow, your shame becomes public. The first time I tried the lipstick, I expected nothing more than a brighter shade of red. But the moment it touched my lips, a strange sensation spread across my body. It wasn't just the tingling you feel when makeup is fresh. It was deeper, almost electric, crawling through my veins. I looked at myself in the mirror, and my reflection didn't feel like mine. My jawline looked softer, my eyes brighter, and my lips fuller, almost perfect. For a moment, I thought the mirror was lying to me. But then I touched my face, and the softness was real. I panicked. This can't be happening, I whispered, rubbing my lips furiously, trying to wipe the color away. But the more I rubbed, the stronger the transformation became. My features kept shifting, my body subtly reshaping. When I stumbled back, my girlfriend appeared in the doorway, watching me with a small, almost mischievous smile. Beautiful, she whispered, as if she had been waiting for this moment. I froze. Something inside me screamed to stop, but another part, the one looking at my reflection, felt a rush of excitement, a forbidden thrill I couldn't deny. I couldn't tear my eyes away from the mirror. The person staring back at me wasn't me, at least not the me I had known all my life. My skin looked flawless, like porcelain kissed by light. My cheekbones stood out in elegant angles. My lips, they were a woman's lips now, soft, alluring, undeniably feminine. I touched them again, trembling. My fingers brushed across the curve, and a jolt ran through me, like my body was no longer mine but something sculpted for beauty. No, this isn't real. It's just makeup, I whispered, trying to convince myself. But deep down I knew it was more than that. The lipstick wasn't just coloring me, it was changing me. My girlfriend stepped closer, her heels clicking against the floor, her perfume wrapping around me like a trap. She tilted my chin up with her finger, forcing me to look at her. "Now do you see?" she said softly, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "I told you, it's magic." Her words hit me like thunder. Magic? Was she serious? My logical mind screamed that it was impossible, but the evidence was right in front of me. My reflection, my body, the softness of my features. "Why are you doing this to me?" I demanded, my voice shaky, cracking between anger and fear. She smiled, that same knowing smile that made my stomach twist. "Because I always knew you were meant to be more. More than just him. I wanted to show you who you really could be." Her words burned in my chest. Part of me wanted to run, to scrape the lipstick off my face until my skin bled, to fight against whatever curse this was. But another part, a darker, secret part, was curious, drawn to the beauty I saw in the mirror. For the first time in my life, I wondered what it would be like if I didn't fight it, and that thought terrified me even more than the transformation itself. That night, as I sat alone in my room, the lipstick rested innocently on my desk under the dim glow of my study lamp. I kept staring at it, its sleek, glossy casing, the faint shimmer on the tube. Something about it felt alive, almost as if it was waiting for me to touch it again. I told myself it was silly. It's just lipstick. A cosmetic. Nothing magical. But deep down, a whisper in my chest said otherwise. Finally, curiosity won. I picked it up, uncapped it, and looked at the creamy red color gleaming under the light. My hands trembled as I applied it to my lips once more, just to test. The transformation was immediate. A rush of warmth spread across my face, then trickled down my neck, my shoulders, my chest. My body tingled, as if invisible hands were sculpting me. I gasped, gripping the edge of the desk. My reflection in the mirror blurred, then sharpened into something I barely recognized. My jawline softened, my eyes sparkled larger, framed with long lashes, and my cheekbones curved delicately. I touched my face in disbelief. My lips, painted red, were fuller, sensuous. My hair cascaded longer, brushing against my shoulders like silk. I stumbled back from the mirror, breathless. My voice cracked when I whispered, This isn't me." But it was. The lipstick had remade me into a girl. A beautiful girl. For a moment, I couldn't stop staring. My heartbeat thudded so hard I thought it might burst. The transformation wasn't just physical. I felt different too. Lighter, fragile, yet powerful. Then the panic hit. If anyone saw me like this, if anyone knew, I'd be ruined. I rushed to the bathroom, scrubbing at my lips with soap and water, desperate to erase the red. And slowly, painfully, the changes reversed. My face hardened back into its familiar shape. My hair shortened. My voice deepened. I collapsed to the floor, sweating and shaking. The lipstick rolled away, stopping near the corner. I stared at it, terrified, and yet drawn to it. Because even though it scared me to death, part of me wanted to try it again. The first application of the lipstick was almost like stepping into a different world. As soon as I pressed it against my lips, I felt a strange tingle, a sensation that spread outward, pulling at the edges of my identity. I stared into the mirror as the color deepened, glowing faintly under the dim bedroom light. My lips looked fuller, softer, almost irresistibly feminine. "Wow," I whispered, but even my voice cracked differently.
Softer.
Sweeter. I leaned closer to the glass, panic rising in my chest. Was this real? Suddenly, my cheekbones sharpened subtly, my jawline softened, and the faint stubble I had always been self-conscious about simply vanished. My reflection no longer belonged to me. It belonged to someone else, someone beautiful. A girl. I stumbled back, clutching the vanity table for balance. No, this can't be happening, I muttered. But every breath I took made the sensation stronger. My shoulders narrowed, my waist pulled in, and even the clothes I was wearing seemed to cling differently, accentuating a figure that wasn't mine. That's when Emily's phone buzzed. She had left it on the dresser. A text notification lit up the screen. "How's the experiment going?"
Did he try it yet?
My heart nearly stopped. Experiment? What had she done to me? I tried scrubbing the lipstick off with a tissue, desperate to reverse it, but the color wouldn't budge. Instead, it shimmered brighter, mocking my attempts. My hands shook as I stared at the beautiful stranger staring back at me from the mirror. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just wearing makeup. I was someone else entirely. And deep down, a terrifying thought crept in. What if this wasn't temporary? Sleep wouldn't come to me that night. I kept tossing and turning, the sheets clinging to my skin, my heart refusing to calm down. The lipstick sat on my desk, its golden tube gleaming faintly under the moonlight sneaking through the curtains. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, but then I saw it. The faintest glow, a pulse, as if the lipstick were breathing. I couldn't ignore it anymore. Slowly, I slipped out of bed and approached it. Each step felt heavier than the last, my chest tightening with a strange dread. When I picked up the tube, it was warm, far too warm for an object that had been sitting untouched. My fingers trembled as I twisted it open. Inside, instead of the creamy red shade I expected, I saw something swirling. Colors shifted and twisted, deep crimson melting into violet, violet bleeding into black, and then flashes of gold, like liquid fire trapped inside. I blinked, thinking I was hallucinating, but no, the lipstick wasn't just makeup. It was alive. And then the voices came. The moment I touched the edge of that strange swirl, whispers erupted in my head. They weren't clear at first, just echoes in the distance. But then they grew sharper. A woman's laugh, hollow and broken. A man's desperate sob. A child's scream. Voices layered over each other, clashing, begging, warning. I dropped the tube, but it didn't stop. My body went rigid. My hands clawed at my ears, but the voices were inside, not outside. My vision blurred, and for a second, I wasn't in my room anymore. I stood in a vast, dark place, endless mirrors stretching into infinity. In each reflection, I saw someone different. A man in a business suit, a girl in a prom dress, a boy in school uniform, a woman in a wedding gown. All of them looked at me, their lips painted in the same glowing shade. And then, one by one, their mouths moved in unison. "You're next." I stumbled back, gasping, and the vision shattered. My knees hit the floor, sweat dripping down my temple. The lipstick rolled toward the mirror on my desk, and that was when I saw her, my reflection. She wasn't me. Her smile curled cruelly, while my lips stayed frozen in horror. Her eyes glimmered with confidence, with ownership, as if she belonged in this body more than I did. She tilted her head, mocking me, and whispered with my exact voice. "There's no going back now." My blood turned to ice. It wasn't just magic, it was a curse. Each shade carried the essence of someone who had worn it before. People who had been transformed, trapped, consumed. The lipstick wasn't giving me power, it was feeding on me. And in that moment I knew. I wasn't just changing into someone new. I was being erased. I thought I had mastered it. That magic lipstick, that cursed thing that had twisted my life upside down. I believed I could wear it when I wanted, remove it when I wanted, and return to my real self whenever the urge struck. But I was wrong. Horribly wrong. The first signs were small. I would wake up with the faint shimmer of pink on my lips, even though I hadn't touched the tube. I would scrub and scrub in the bathroom mirror, only to realize that the color wasn't fading. It was blooming, darkening, as if the lipstick itself had seeped into my skin. Then came the dreams. Dreams where I stood before endless mirrors, my reflection multiplying 1,000 times, each one of them a perfect, feminine version of me, soft hair cascading over my shoulders, curves filling my dress, long lashes batting seductively. And in every reflection, the same lipstick glowed like fire, binding me to them. One morning, I tried to resist. I hid the lipstick in the very back of my closet, buried under piles of clothes. I swore I wouldn't touch it again. But when I opened my bag at school, there it was, sitting on top of my books, mocking me with its shimmering surface. My friends gathered around, laughing, telling me to put it on. I wanted to scream, to throw it away, but my hands moved on their own. The cap twisted, the stick rose, and before I knew it, my lips were painted once more. And the transformation was instant. My voice lifted into a soft, melodic tone, my stance shifted into feminine grace, my eyes widened with a beauty that made everyone around me stare in awe. My body pulsed with energy, warmth spreading down my neck, into my chest, and lower, reshaping me in ways I couldn't deny. I wasn't just acting anymore. The lipstick was remaking me. The worst part? I felt good. Too good. My skin tingled with confidence. My steps felt lighter. My laugh rang like music. People gravitated toward me, treating me like the most radiant girl in the room. And I, against every shred of resistance, loved it. But deep inside, the boy I once was screamed. I was losing control, losing myself. Each time I wore it, it became harder to return. And each time I took it off, the emptiness was unbearable, like a hollow shell where my identity used to be. That's when I realized the horrifying truth. It wasn't me using the lipstick. It was the lipstick using me. I had always thought of a mirror as something harmless, something that simply reflected what was in front of it. But now, standing there in my girlfriend's room, drenched in the lingering taste of her enchanted lipstick, I realized the mirror was no longer my friend. It was my executioner. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light. The girl staring back at me had my eyes but framed differently, softened, shaped into a gaze that felt unfamiliar. Her cheekbones were sharp yet delicate, her lips fuller than mine had ever been, coated in the same glowing red that burned against my skin. I stepped closer, trying to convince myself it was still me. But it wasn't. The reflection smiled before I did. My stomach dropped, as if the floor beneath me had vanished. I reached out, pressing my fingers against the glass, and felt only cold, unyielding resistance. My reflection tilted her head, a sly grin tugging at her lips, mocking me. "Stop it," I whispered, breath trembling. But the reflection didn't listen. It leaned closer, whispering words I couldn't hear but felt crawling beneath my skin. I stumbled back, clutching my face, praying that when I looked again, it would all vanish. It didn't. The reflection was no longer me at all. It was her, the girl I was becoming. Long hair framed her shoulders, lashes curled impossibly high, her posture poised and elegant in a way I never stood. And worst of all, she looked confident, like she belonged, like she wanted to stay. A horrifying thought sliced through me. What if the mirror wasn't betraying me at all? What if it was simply showing me the truth, who I was turning into? I staggered toward the bed, clutching at my chest. My heart thundered so violently, I thought it might tear free. This isn't me, I kept repeating, like a broken record. But the lipstick still burned, its invisible chains digging deeper. My reflection was laughing now, a cruel, silent laugh that echoed only in my mind. And in that moment, I knew I wasn't fighting just the magic. I was fighting myself. By the next morning, I thought the magic of the lipstick would fade away, that perhaps I'd wake up, wipe my lips, and everything would return to normal. But when I stood before the mirror, I realized the truth. The transformation wasn't just about makeup. My features were subtly different.
Softer.
My cheekbones sharper yet more delicate, my jawline slimmer, and my eyes framed by lashes that hadn't been there before. I scrubbed my face furiously, using soap, water, even a rough towel, but nothing worked. The lipstick's mark remained faintly visible, like a permanent stain etched into my very skin. My girlfriend, Elena, stepped into the bathroom and gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. You still look like her," she whispered. The fear in her eyes made me flinch. She wasn't scared of me. She was scared for me. And for us. At school, I covered my face with a hoodie, hoping no one would notice. But whispers followed me. A group of girls approached, mistaking me for one of them. They giggled, complimented my flawless skin, and invited me to sit with them at lunch. I tried to decline, but the lipstick's enchantment made me smile politely, nod, and agree. Inside, I was screaming. Outside, I was playing the perfect girl. When Elena found me later, surrounded by people who no longer recognized me as the boy I once was, she pulled me aside, panic clear in her trembling voice. "This isn't a game anymore," she said. "The lipstick isn't just makeup, it's rewriting you. Every time you wear it, every second you stay like this, you're becoming someone else. Someone the world accepts as a girl, and maybe one day, even you won't remember who you really are."
Her words pierced me like knives.
I had thought this was temporary, maybe even fun in a twisted way. But now, a terrifying thought haunted me. What if the mask I wore wasn't a mask at all anymore? What if this was me now, forever? For the first time, I realized I wasn't fighting to hide the lipstick. I was fighting to hold onto myself. The night of the party was nothing short of dazzling. My girlfriend's best friend, Samantha, was hosting it in her family's grand mansion. Chandeliers glittered above, music thumped through the marble halls, and the air was thick with the mingling scent of champagne, perfume, and anticipation. I had begged to skip the event. I wasn't ready to face so many eyes, so many chances for my carefully constructed disguise to unravel. But my girlfriend had insisted, whispering in my ear with that mischievous smirk, "If you can survive tonight, you can survive anything." When we entered the party, heads turned instantly. At first, I thought people were staring at me because they could see through the illusion that everyone knew I was a fraud in a borrowed dress, painted with lipstick that wasn't mine. But slowly, I realized it was something else entirely. They weren't suspicious. They were admiring. Whispers followed me through the room. Compliments brushed against my ears like hands. "She's stunning. Who is she? That dress, wow." For the first time, I wasn't invisible. I wasn't a background figure in someone else's story. I was at the center. And part of me, an alarming, exhilarating part, was starting to like it. But then the night twisted. While my girlfriend mingled with friends, I slipped away to catch my breath on the balcony. That's when a tall man approached, confident, charming, a drink in his hand. His eyes lingered on me in a way that made my heart hammer. "You're new here," he said smoothly. And unforgettable. Panic clawed at me. If he got too close, if he noticed anything off, the whole charade would shatter. But instead of calling me out, he stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You should be careful. Not everyone at this party has good intentions." The warning chilled me. Before I could respond, Samantha appeared, looping her arm through his and dragging him back toward the glowing lights inside. She winked at me as if she knew exactly what game she was playing. I stood frozen, the night air sharp against my bare shoulders. That man's words wouldn't leave my head. Was I really in danger? Or was this just another trick in this cruel transformation I had stumbled into? And beneath all the fear, another question whispered, why, despite everything, did I feel more alive than I ever had before? The longer I lived in this new reality, the harder it became to deny the truth. The lipstick wasn't just makeup, it was something far more sinister, far more powerful. Every time I wore it, it didn't just change my face. It rewrote me. My body, my mannerisms, even my instincts slowly shifted. I caught myself doing things I never used to do. I brushed my hair behind my ear the way I had seen my girlfriend do countless times. I giggled softly at jokes that didn't deserve a laugh. My handwriting, once messy and blocky, turned delicate, almost elegant. I wasn't just pretending anymore. I was becoming. One night, I confronted my girlfriend. My voice trembled as I whispered, "What did you give me? What's in that lipstick?" She looked at me for a long moment, her eyes dark with a strange mix of guilt and satisfaction. "I told you," she said finally. "It was magic. My grandmother gave it to me. She always wanted another granddaughter." The words hit me like thunder. Another granddaughter? That meant I wasn't the first. My heart raced as I realized there might have been others before me, boys who had disappeared, swallowed up by this crimson curse. I ran to the mirror, my hands trembling as I touched my reflection. For the first time, I didn't see myself in those eyes. I saw her, the girl I had been forced to become, staring back, flawless and complete. The worst part? A chilling thought crept into my mind. What if I didn't want to fight it anymore? That night felt different from any other. The air in my room was heavy, like it was filled with invisible strings pulling me in a direction I didn't want to go. My heart thudded in my chest as I stared at the small silver tube of lipstick lying on the dresser. It was glowing faintly under the lamplight, almost taunting me, whispering that I had no choice but to pick it up again. I told myself I wouldn't do it. I told myself I could resist. But as the minutes ticked by, my lips burned with the memory of how it felt, the strange power it carried, the way it changed not just my face but my entire existence. When I finally caved and lifted the tube, my hands were trembling so badly, I nearly dropped it. The instant I uncapped it, the scent, sweet, intoxicating, like roses soaked in forbidden wine, hit me. It was almost unbearable, as though the lipstick itself wanted me. I walked to the mirror, avoiding my own reflection until the very last second. And when my eyes finally met the glass, I froze. The boy I once was looked like a ghost, fading more each day. My hair had grown long and silky, framing my face in waves that looked too perfect to belong to me. My features were already delicate, already softened. My reflection smiled. Not me, not my control, but something deep inside me that had surrendered long ago. I whispered, "This will be the last time." But even as the words left my lips, I knew they were lies. Lies I told myself so I could breathe, so I could give in without collapsing entirely. When the lipstick touched my mouth, the sensation was electric. My entire body shivered. My chest tightened, my waist pulled inward, my hips widened slightly, and my voice when I gasped was no longer my own. It was higher,
Softer.
seductive. I stumbled back, clutching the edge of the dresser, staring at the girl in the mirror. She blinked back at me, her lips full and crimson, her eyes wide with fear and desire. She wasn't me, but she was. A knock on my door shattered the silence. "Are you ready?" It was Emily's voice, calm, certain, almost commanding. My throat dried up. Ready for what? I didn't even know anymore. I wanted to scream at her, to demand answers, to beg her to take it all back. But instead, my hand reached for the closet door, pulling out the outfit she had laid out earlier. A black silk dress with thin straps, something no man could ever wear without fully surrendering himself. As I slipped it over my body, I felt the last threads of resistance unravel. The fabric hugged my curves like it had been made for me. My legs trembled when I slid into the heels, waiting on the floor. By the time I opened the door, Emily was standing there, smiling in quiet satisfaction. She whispered, "Now, the real night begins." And in that moment, I realized there was no turning back. This wasn't just a game. This wasn't just magic. This was my life now, and the girl in the mirror wasn't going anywhere. Days blurred into nights, and I no longer recognized the person staring back at me in the mirror. The boy I once was had disappeared, swallowed by layers of foundation, painted lips, and silken dresses that seemed to whisper a new identity with every brush against my skin. I would trace the curve of my cheek, the way the lipstick seemed to shape not just my mouth but my very existence, and wonder if I had ever truly been myself before all this. But inside, I was breaking. The pressure of pretending, of performing, of existing in a body and life that felt both foreign and intimate was pulling me apart. My girlfriend's demands grew sharper, her expectations heavier. She wanted me flawless every day, no excuses. To the world, I was supposed to be her perfect partner, her elegant girlfriend who turned heads and made her friends jealous. To myself, I was a stranger trapped in someone else's dream. One night, after another exhausting day of living as her creation, I collapsed onto my bed still fully dressed, heels kicked off, hair undone, makeup smeared across my face. Tears mixed with mascara, streaking my cheeks as I whispered to the dark room. Who am I anymore? My voice cracked, sounding more like the soft tones she had trained me to use than my own natural one. That realization cut deeper than anything else. I wasn't even sure I could remember my old voice clearly. Sleep didn't come easily. Instead, thoughts clawed at me. Memories of the first time she had handed me that lipstick, the first time she'd said, "You look beautiful," the first time I felt the intoxicating rush of becoming someone I wasn't. Those moments had felt exciting, almost magical.
But now they haunted me.
Had I been tricked into losing myself? Or had I willingly handed over who I was for the sake of love and acceptance? The real breaking point came when I overheard her on the phone with a friend. Her laughter filled the room, light and cruel, as she boasted about me. "You wouldn't believe it," she said, her tone laced with pride. "He doesn't even argue anymore. He wears what I tell him, acts the way I want, like my perfect doll. Honestly, I don't think he even remembers who he used to be. This lipstick did more than just change his look, it changed his life. And now, he's mine completely." Hearing those words shattered me. It wasn't about love anymore. It was about control. I wasn't her partner. I was her project, her possession. My heart pounded, my hands shook, and my world collapsed in on itself. That night, staring at the glowing tube of lipstick on the vanity, I realized I had a choice. I could keep living as her creation, her fantasy, her perfect girl. Or I could fight to reclaim the fragments of the person I used to be, even if it meant losing her, even if it meant losing the only version of myself I had left. The lipstick sparkled under the dim light, innocent and dangerous all at once. My chest tightened. I had never felt so torn, so powerless, and yet so desperate to take back control. For the first time in weeks, I whispered not what she had taught me to say, but my own truth. This is not who I am. And yet, even as I said it, part of me trembled, because I wasn't entirely sure anymore. The next morning, I woke up before dawn. For a moment, I forgot where I was, until the scent of rose-scented lotion clung to my skin, until the silky sheets whispered against my legs, until I caught my reflection in the mirror across the room. The girl in the reflection was no stranger anymore. She was me. Her long hair spilled across the pillow in waves. Her skin looked softer than it ever had when I was living as a man. Her lips still carried a faint tint of crimson, even after a night of restless sleep. And her eyes, they were wide, uncertain, but undeniably beautiful. I sat up slowly, my heart aching with a sharp reminder of everything I had lost. My name, my old identity, my place in the world as the man I used to be. But alongside that ache was something else, something I was ashamed to admit.
Pride.
The way the mirror reflected back not just a stranger, but a version of me that others admired, envied, and desired. I remembered how people looked at me on the street yesterday, how men's gazes lingered, how women whispered. I remembered the compliments, the attention, the strange sense of power that came with being beautiful. But was it really power? Or was it another kind of prison? The memory of last night's humiliation with Daniel still burned in my mind. He had been so certain, so confident in reminding me that my old life was gone, that I was only what he allowed me to be now. His words clung to me like chains. "This is who you are now. You'll never escape it." I touched my lips, as if to wipe away the echo of his dominance, but the faint shimmer of the lipstick remained. No matter how hard I scrubbed, the magic never faded completely. I went to the vanity, pulled out the tube of lipstick, the cursed object that had rewritten my existence. It sat in my hand like a jewel, its glossy red surface mocking me. I considered throwing it out the window, smashing it against the floor, burying it deep where no one could find it. But I couldn't. Something in me whispered that if I destroyed it, I might destroy the last thread connecting me to my old life. It was my only proof that I hadn't chosen this fate willingly, that magic, manipulation, and betrayal had trapped me here. But another, darker thought crept in. What if it wasn't just a curse? What if the lipstick was also the only reason I was this, the girl in the mirror, who looked like she belonged? Without it, what would I be? Half-formed, broken, stuck in some cruel in-between? The thought chilled me. As the sun rose, flooding the room with golden light, I forced myself to get dressed. Each movement was automatic now. Bra clasped, stockings smoothed, skirt zipped. My hands worked with growing familiarity, as if I had been doing this all my life. And that was the most terrifying part. With every passing day, it was getting easier. More natural. More me. I whispered to my reflection, almost as if testing myself. I am still me. I am still. But the name caught in my throat. My old name sounded foreign, strange, even wrong. I pressed my fingers to my lips, trembling. The lipstick had changed more than just my appearance. It was rewriting me from the inside out. And I didn't know how much of me was left to fight back. The night of the charity gala finally arrived, a night that felt less like an event and more like the turning point of my entire existence. Standing in front of the grand mirror in the hotel suite, I hardly recognized the girls staring back at me. My skin glowed under the warm lights, smooth and delicate from weeks of care. My lashes framed eyes that shimmered with an almost unnatural brightness. The gown Emily had chosen for me hugged my body perfectly, falling in waves of satin that made me feel like royalty. But it wasn't just the dress. It was the lipstick. That same shade of deep crimson, the one that had started this entire journey, now rested on my lips once again. Emily had insisted, no, demanded, that I wear it tonight. It's not just lipstick, she whispered earlier while pressing the tube into my trembling hand. It's your truth. It's who you've become. As I traced the color across my lips, I remembered every step of the path that had brought me here. The first time I felt its magic, the first moment my reflection betrayed me, the countless humiliations, the unexpected tenderness, the surrender to something I could no longer fight. My pulse raced, but deep down, there was no resistance left. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers and champagne glasses, filled with men and women in gowns and tuxedos. I entered with Emily on my arm, every pair of eyes following me as if I were a mystery they longed to solve. I could hear their whispers, admiration, envy, disbelief. Not one of them saw the boy I used to be. During the opening speech, I caught sight of my reflection in the mirrored pillars surrounding the room. Each glimpse confirmed the same truth. The transformation was complete. Not just on the outside, but deep within me. I didn't just look like a woman, I felt like one. Emily leaned close, her breath tickling my ear. This is your life now. You're my masterpiece. Her words weren't cruel, not anymore. They were possessive, protective, almost loving. And part of me, perhaps the truest part, wanted nothing more than to belong to her forever. As the music began and couples moved to the floor, she extended her hand toward me. My heart pounded as I placed my gloved fingers in hers. We danced under the shimmering lights, spinning, gliding, moving as though the world itself had disappeared. The crowd blurred into shadows, and all that remained was the heat of her hand on my back and the crimson on my lips. Then came the moment, the final kiss of fate. As the orchestra swelled, Emily pulled me close and pressed her lips against mine, smearing our lipsticks together into a single, undeniable mark. The room erupted in applause, assuming it was all part of the gala's glamour. But for me, it was something else entirely, the sealing of a destiny I could never escape. When the kiss broke, I no longer thought of myself as a boy pretending. The lipstick, the dress, the persona, they weren't masks anymore. They were me. And as Emily whispered against my lips, "Forever," I knew she was right. The boy was gone. The girl remained. And she would never leave. The more I stared at myself in the mirror, the harder it was to deny what was happening. My reflection no longer belonged to me. It belonged to someone else, someone softer, someone more feminine. My jaw looked delicate. My eyes were framed with lashes that curled naturally upward, and my lips, God, my lips looked sinful, plump, glossy, inviting. They glistened under the light as though painted with a secret allure that wasn't entirely natural. I touched them again, trembling, and felt the smooth coating of the lipstick that had caused all of this.
It wasn't just makeup.
I knew that now. The transformation wasn't a trick of light or some hidden prank. It was real. And if that was true, then what did it mean for me? I staggered back from the mirror, almost tripping over the edge of the rug. My chest tightened. My heart felt like it was about to burst through my ribs. Calm down, I whispered to myself, though my voice no longer carried the deep tone I knew. Instead, it was softer, higher, almost melodic, like a girl trying to calm herself after crying. That was the moment the reality of it truly sank in. Not only did I look different, I sounded different. A wave of panic surged through me. I rushed to the bathroom door, unlocked it, and stepped out quickly. The hallway was empty, but the air felt different, colder somehow, sharper against my skin. Even the way my clothes clung to me had shifted. My once loose t-shirt now pressed tightly against my chest, outlining curves that had no business being there. I wrapped my arms around myself, trying to hide them, but the swell beneath my palms only confirmed what my eyes already knew. I had a woman's body. I rushed toward my room, desperate to shut myself away before anyone saw me. But halfway down the hall, I froze.
Sophie.
She was leaning casually against the wall, arms crossed, watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Amusement? Curiosity? Triumph? Her eyes flicked over me slowly, deliberately, like she was memorizing every inch of my altered form. Wow, she whispered finally, a sly smile tugging at her lips. It worked even better than I imagined. My throat closed. Words tangled inside me, but nothing came out. She stepped closer, her gaze never leaving my face. I told you it wasn't just lipstick. But you didn't believe me, did you? I shook my head weakly, my breath shallow. Dubbo, what did you do to me? Sophie tilted her head, her smile widening. I gave you a gift. A gift, I echoed, my voice breaking. Yes, she said simply, brushing past me with a casualness that made my skin prickle. That lipstick has been in my family for generations. It doesn't just change appearances, it changes reality. And now, she turned her head, her eyes flashing with something unreadable. Now, you're living proof of its power. Her words cut deeper than I expected. I wanted to scream at her, demand answers, beg her to undo it. But another part of me, a quieter, more terrifying part, felt something else entirely. A strange thrill. Because as much as my mind resisted, my body betrayed me. My heart skipped when her eyes lingered on me. My skin tingled under her gaze. And when I caught sight of myself again in the reflection of a framed photo on the wall, I didn't see a stranger. I saw someone beautiful. I stumbled into my room and shut the door behind me, pressing my back against it. My breathing was ragged, my thoughts spinning. What was I supposed to do now? How could I possibly explain this to anyone? And worse, how long would it last? My eyes fell to the small lipstick tube Sophie had left on the bathroom counter. Somehow, it was now lying neatly on my desk, as if it had followed me, waiting for me to reach for it again. I didn't touch it. Not yet. But I couldn't stop staring at it, like it was daring me to choose. The next few weeks of my life blurred into a whirlwind of dazzling colors, glittering lights, and constant attention. Everywhere I went, people turned their heads, not to avoid me, but to admire me. My name was whispered in hallways, shouted in crowded cafeterias, and even scribbled in little hearts inside notebooks. It was surreal. Every morning before school, I would stand in front of the mirror and watch as the lipstick performed its magic. With one slow glide of the crimson shade, my reflection shifted into the breathtaking girl everyone seemed obsessed with. The boy I had been, the shy, unnoticed version of myself, was nowhere to be found. But what stunned me most was how quickly people changed. Teachers who used to scold me for being distracted now smiled and asked about my fashion sense. Girls who never gave me the time of day suddenly wanted me to sit with them at lunch. Even the popular boys, the ones I used to envy, were lining up to carry my books, walk me to class, or just have an excuse to talk to me. At first, I loved it. The power of being noticed, being admired, it was intoxicating. I felt like I had unlocked a secret life, where I was no longer invisible. Every compliment felt like fuel, every envious glance like proof that I was someone worth remembering. But soon, I realized admiration came with a cost. Because popularity is not about being loved, it's about being owned. One afternoon, while sitting with a group of girls in the cafeteria, I noticed the way they looked at me. Their smiles were too wide, their laughter too loud, their words carefully chosen. They weren't treating me like a friend. They were treating me like a trophy. "So, what's your secret?" one of them asked, twirling her hair around her finger. "You came out of nowhere, and suddenly every guy is obsessed with you." I froze, my hand tightening around the fork. If I told them the truth, that it was a cursed lipstick, no one would believe me. But if I said nothing, suspicion would grow. "Oh, come on," another chimed in, leaning closer. "You don't just become this overnight."
Spill it.
Is it surgery? Some crazy beauty hack? A sugar daddy paying for your wardrobe? Their laughter felt sharp, cutting. And that's when it hit me. They didn't want to know me. They wanted to dissect me, figure me out, and maybe even tear me down. My popularity wasn't a shield, it was a target. Things got worse with the boys. One day after class, I found myself cornered near my locker by 3 of them. They weren't threatening me outright, but their grins carried an edge I couldn't ignore. "You should come to the party Friday," one of them said, leaning against the locker like he owned the hallway. "Everyone's waiting to see you there." I don't think I can," I stammered. "Oh, but you have to." His grin widened, and his friends chuckled. "You wouldn't want to disappoint your fans, right?"
Fans.
That word made my stomach twist. I wasn't a person to them. I was an event, a spectacle. And suddenly, the lipstick felt less like a blessing and more like a cage. Because the more I used it, the deeper I sank into this false life. And the deeper I sank, the more impossible it became to imagine a way out. That night, as I stood in front of the mirror with the lipstick in my hand, I hesitated. Was this really who I wanted to be? Did I want to keep living this lie, knowing that it was slowly consuming me? But when I pressed my bare lips together and saw the boy I used to be staring back at me, awkward, plain, invisible, I felt a pang of fear. Could I really go back to that? Could I stand being nobody again? And so, trembling, I raised the lipstick and drew it across my lips once more. Because deep down, I already knew the answer. I was trapped by my vanity, by my fear, and by the magic of that cursed lipstick. And the worst part? I wasn't sure I wanted to escape. The following morning, everything felt different. My body still carried the faint shimmer of the lipstick's magic, but my mind was spinning with questions. I stood in front of the mirror for what felt like hours, staring at the girl who looked back at me. She looked confident, composed, even beautiful, but deep down I knew she was still me. When my girlfriend walked into the room, she caught me staring and gave a soft smile. "You're still you," she said gently, brushing my hair back from my face. "The lipstick just shows another side of you, one I think you've been hiding for too long." Her words shook me. Had I really been hiding this? I wanted to argue, but a part of me knew she was right. The way I had melted into the dresses, the way I had secretly enjoyed the makeup, the thrill of walking unnoticed in the world as a girl, it wasn't just the magic. It was something I had always wanted but never admitted. But the fear returned just as quickly. What if the world finds out? What if I can't change back?
What if I don't want to?
Later that day, I decided to test myself. I put on my old jeans and hoodie, determined to feel like me again. But when I looked in the mirror, the reflection didn't satisfy me. For the first time, I didn't feel comfortable in my old clothes. I missed the way the dress had swayed around my legs, the way the lipstick had brought out the softness in my face. That realization terrified me. Over the next few days, I tried to go back to normal, but the magic had already changed me in ways I couldn't reverse. Every time I saw my girlfriend's lipstick tube, sitting so innocently on the dresser, I felt a pull, a craving. Part of me wanted to pick it up, to glide it across my lips and feel that same rush again. But another part warned me. What if you lose yourself completely? What if there's no going back? One night, I finally gave in. My hands trembled as I uncapped the lipstick and applied it again. The transformation was instant, smoother and stronger than before. My body shifted into its feminine shape, my hair cascaded down in waves, and my reflection smiled knowingly at me. But this time, something was different. The transformation didn't fade after an hour. When I tried to wipe the lipstick off, it clung to my lips stubbornly, glowing faintly in the dim light.
Panic set in as I realized I might be stuck like this.
I stumbled back from the mirror, clutching the dresser, breathing hard. My girlfriend came rushing in, her eyes widening when she saw me. "It's not coming off," I whispered, my voice breaking. "What do I do?" She didn't look surprised. Instead, she cupped my face in her hands and said softly, "Maybe this is who you were always meant to be." Her words left me speechless. For the first time, I wasn't sure if I wanted the magic to end. The days that followed were a blur of confusion, emotions, and relentless questions spinning in my mind. I kept staring at the tube of lipstick on my desk like it was some cursed object, a relic of power that had stolen my identity and replaced it with something unrecognizable. Every time I caught my reflection in the mirror, I saw her. Not me, not the boy I had grown up as, but this flawless girl with shimmering lips and soft eyes. Her presence mocked me, whispered to me, "Maybe this is who you were meant to be." And that terrified me more than anything else. I tried everything to fight it. I wiped off the lipstick again and again, but the moment I applied it, even by accident, my body seemed to slip back into that feminine form. My hands shook every time I touched the tube, like I was holding fire, like I knew one mistake would trap me longer. Yet the strange part? Sometimes I wanted it.
Sometimes I chose to apply it.
Not because I had to, but because there was a small, dangerous part of me that liked the way it felt. The compliments from strangers echoed in my head: beautiful, stunning, gorgeous. Words I'd never heard in my life, words that made my heart race. But then I would remember my girlfriend, the one who had given me this lipstick, the one who seemed to know far too much about its power. Was she controlling me? Testing me? Or was she trying to show me something about myself that I wasn't ready to face? The lines between love, manipulation, and magic blurred until I didn't know who to trust, not even myself. At night, I'd lie awake in bed, staring at the ceiling wondering, was I losing myself to this lipstick? Or was I finally discovering who I truly was? The thought that scared me the most wasn't being trapped as a girl forever. The thought that scared me was that maybe, just maybe, I didn't want to go back. The weeks that followed were nothing short of surreal. What had begun as a single playful dare, a kiss with a lipstick that shimmered like fire, had rewritten my entire existence. At first, I kept waiting for it to wear off. I thought one morning I'd wake up and see my old reflection staring back. But every day, the face in the mirror only grew more familiar, more natural, more me. The longer I lived as a girl, the harder it became to imagine ever going back. My girlfriend, no, not just my girlfriend anymore, stood by my side through it all. She helped me navigate the awkward moments, the fear of being discovered, the endless questions that churned in my chest at night. She celebrated my successes and held me when the weight of everything threatened to crush me. But what I hadn't expected was how much I'd fall in love with myself. The clothes, the makeup, the heels, the confidence, they weren't just a disguise anymore. They were my armor, my wings, my second skin. I realized that what terrified me in the beginning wasn't the transformation. It was the possibility that I might actually belong in this new identity. And slowly I did. At a party one evening, I caught my reflection in a tall mirror. The girl staring back was radiant, poised, unrecognizable from the boy who once hid in baggy hoodies and avoided attention. My heart skipped. For the first time, I didn't see a stranger. I saw myself. My girlfriend slipped her hand into mine, her eyes shining with pride. "See?" she whispered, pressing her lips to my ear. "I told you the lipstick wasn't just magic, it only revealed the beauty that was already inside." I smiled, a tear slipping free. She was right. The lipstick may have been the spark, but what kept the fire burning was something far deeper, the courage to embrace who I truly was. And so, I stopped waiting for the magic to wear off. Because maybe it was never really the lipstick that changed my life. Maybe it was me all along.